Hello, Diana. Lovely to see you.
Hello, Emma. Good to see you as well.
So you've been retired, Diana, as a Quaker prison chaplain for some time now. Is that right?
Yes, from memory, about 6 years, I think, 5 or 6 years.
Gosh,
Yes,
gosh.
yes.
And before that, how long were you chaplain for?
I was going into prisons for about 9.5 years, in Yorkshire.
Right.
So I was nominated by my area meeting for one establishment in particular. But then there were one, two, three prisons still within South Yorkshire, but within a different area meeting.
Ah, yeah.
And they couldn't find a prison chaplain. And each of those establishments at that time had one or more Quaker prisoners. So I agreed to go in, although it was a long journey. So I only went in once every 3 weeks, something like that. But over a period of time, different levels. So it included an open prison. It included a category B and a category C.
Mm.
Um, but I kind of did that. And then at the time that I retired, that area meeting still hadn't found anybody
Um,
to go in.
Well, that's a good way of saying, this is why I'm doing these videos, partly to raise awareness amongst Quakers about what prison chaplaincy offers, really, because it's such a rewarding thing to do, and I really want to kind of just let people know about it, I suppose.
Yes.
So you've been willing to watch in advance all of these videos, interviews that I've been doing. Um, so if you just think back to the ones that you've watched, because mostly they're about prison chaplaincy, aren't they? But I have also introduced some around police chaplaincy. I'm going to be speaking to a sports team chaplain, and I'm hoping to find a hospital chaplain, university chaplain as well. But I want to just focus with you just to hear your thoughts on the prison chaplaincy ones that I've done so far. What do you make of them so far? What do you think about the whole project?
Well, I think it's a really good project. And I think together they make a really interesting set of videos because they actually show the complexity of the whole picture, really. So not only the complexity of working within the civil service, of being within a government organization, and how that can place restrictions on how people may personally feel about different aspects of the criminal justice system,
Mm.
um, and the things that they must expect that they should adhere to and actually can't do, even if
Yeah.
they really want to. But also the various reasons, and I think there are many, why people become prison chaplains. And I think for some, it's definitely a calling, a vocation that maybe they have had for a long time. For others, it's perhaps something that comes out of the blue, as it did for me. Um, People who've maybe had little or no experience of the prison system before, and also, of course, the complexities of how, as a prison chaplain, you actually relate not only to the prisoners, who may initially be your first thought, these are the people I'm going to be working with, but you are also pitched into a chaplaincy team, which will have many dynamics. And also the expectation, which may be a surprise to some people, that they're there as a chaplain and could be called upon by staff.
Mm.
And I think that's something that people perhaps don't always realize or
No, that's
appreciate.
right. That's right. Do you think these videos, if people watch them, do you think it might put some people off? Or do you
Well,
think that,
it might do, and in a way, I think that's no bad thing because we don't want people going into a system thinking that they're there for a particular reason,
mm,
um, which maybe isn't isn't a kind of accurate assessment. Um, and I think people, we all have a tendency, don't we, we have expectations of what something is going to be like. And sometimes those expectations are actually a long way off the mark. So
mm,
having a set of videos that show a different aspect, if you like, or a different approach, I think is really, really important.
yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope so. Because as you say, it's talking to people who've actually been in there. And sometimes I do think that Quakers in general sometimes have a strange perception of what they think it's like in there. And of course, people from generations ago would have, if they had gone into prisons maybe 20, 30 years ago, would have experienced something quite different, actually. So it's good to talk to people, right up to date, really.
Yeah.
What about the training side of this? Because obviously part of what we then do as we've both been on the committee that help Quaker prison chaplains discern the process, is this right for me? And then we provide training for them. And you've been heavily involved in that. Do you think these little video interviews might be helpful even in the training?
I think they will be. Yes, I think they'll be extremely helpful because no matter how much material you put into the training program and how carefully you think about it, discuss it with your co-trainer or whatever, whether it's face to face or whether it's online, there is absolutely nothing that beats somebody actually speaking both from the heart and from the head, if you like,
Yeah.
about what they have experienced and what things that maybe took them by surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to get a breadth of experience and thoughts across in these videos, generic overviews and what it's like to become a new prison chaplain. And then, of course, Judy and I talk about setting up the groups. What was setting up a group in prison anything you ever did, or did you stick to one-to-ones?
I generally stuck to one-to-ones, although in one of the um, prisons away from my main prison, um, I did have an attempt to set up a group, but it wasn't terribly successful. Um, partly, partly maybe due to me, and I think also kind of practical things like, I can remember we'd got started one day and there were three men there, and all of a sudden the door opened and in walked a psychiatrist, and she said, I normally have this group, this room at this time, but I wasn't here the last time you were here. So, so that group founded because I didn't go weekly. So
Yeah.
it was very difficult to set up a kind of scheduled program.
And that's typical really. No matter what the problem is, there's often a problem, isn't there? There's often some logistical problems, and you really have to manage your own frustrations and be able to just accept whatever the day brings and wherever the your ministry leads
Yes.
in some way, don't
Yes.
you?
Yes, and it can be really difficult. I mean, I can remember on several occasions over the years, uh, arriving at my prison, and I couldn't go up to the wing or have anybody down because the whole establishment was in lockdown. And it had just been called just like that. And nobody is allowed to ring somebody and say, "Oh, don't come in because we've got a lockdown." So
Yeah. Well, that's right, but that's part of what we need to prepare people for, isn't it? That you need to have that sense of when you turn up, anything might happen, and you just that is what your ministry is today, and just to go with it, really.
absolutely,
And
yes.
of course, in terms of providing a bit of help for people in setting up a group, I mean, my groups have always been quite successful. And at the moment, I mean, this just growing and growing to the point of it almost getting too big. But that's a nice problem to have. But I suppose I'm hoping that that discussion with me and Judy will just help people give some structure to their own ideas and to give people confidence to give it a go, really.
I think so. I think the confidence to give it a go is really important. And I think a lot depends upon the managing chaplain and the managing chaplain's relationship with the governor or the security, um, and how much they are prepared to be kind of creative in the program which the chaplaincy provides.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And of course, coming back to this idea that it's not for everyone, one of the other videos I've done is with a volunteer. For some people, you do have to be in membership, you do have to have a real commitment to Quakers and be rooted in your own meeting and your own spiritual practice. You have to have a grounding in that. And it's not for everyone. Some people prefer to be a volunteer. And over the years, I've always managed to kind of encourage a lot of people to be volunteering and coming in. At the moment, I have 3 people coming in very regularly. What about you? Did you use volunteers much?
No, I didn't use volunteers at all. Partly because I used to go in fortnightly, and there was only one Quaker resident for most of the time that I was there. There were another couple of men who kind of drifted in and out,
Hmm.
but they weren't registered Quakers,
No.
so they couldn't be kind of counted on kind of logistically
Yeah.
to provide a body. So no, I mean I had occasion to take somebody from my own meeting in when it was Quaker Week
Right.
one time.
And
And
that's the difference, of course, between a long-term prison and the short-term local prisons, which I'm in now, because I don't run a Quaker group. I run a quiet group, and I think that's what's slightly different is how do you teach people of all faiths and none our spiritual practice? And it's quite different, really, from simply running a Quaker group.
yes,
And
yes,
and
it is.
that's some of the things that I talk about in the videos. Um, so yeah, well, thank you so much for reviewing them all. I don't know if you've got any final thoughts that you want to add, but I'm hoping to kind of just let people know that these videos are going to be coming out soon. We're just doing some final checks, making sure that everyone's happy with the content. There's nothing security issue in there, to worry about. So it's really talking about what happens within the spiritual side, within the chapel, within the prison chapel. Um, but yeah, any final thoughts on what your hopes are for this kind of series?
Well, I wish it all the best, and I wish you all the best. I think it's a brilliant idea. I really, really do think it's a brilliant idea. And and now having them ready, it makes me think, well, why didn't anybody think of this before?
Well, I know, it's fun. Well, thank you so much for reviewing them and for talking to me today.
That's all right, Emma. That's a pleasure. Really nice to see you. Bye.